This is the Experience Share podcast.
Where I'm Mark, the Joe.
And I, Rowan, the Pro.
Share our differing experiences for the Pokémon trading card game and competitive circuit.
Whether you're playing for fun or you're trying to reach the top, we hope our Experience Share helps you level up.
If no one's listening, we'd be talking about it anyway.
So if you are listening, then be sure to use what you learn to beat those who aren't.
Okay, take two.
Take two.
This is the first time this ever happened to us. We've definitely recorded at least 20 minutes.
Oh, definitely more, like a half hour.
Oh my gosh.
It's okay.
But, hey, you know what? We started this podcast talking about things we always talk about. Breaking news. Lewis Hamilton is leaving Mercedes and joining Ferrari.
I know. I like this news. I think it's exciting, you know. Sometimes a rotation happens. You gotta move on. You gotta mix it up. So shout out to Lewis Hamilton. Maybe he'll have continued success at Ferrari.
He'll win his ninth championship.
Right? That'd be super cool, you know.
That'd be really nice. But, you know, we talk about, like, cars. We've been talking about it recently. Like, I've been playing Entei or Charizard, which is like a red car. You've been playing Gardevoir, which is like a pink car.
A pink car?
You know?
Is there a pink team in F1?
There was a pink, yeah. Alpine.
Alpine? They got a pink car. All right.
So, it's been a while since we've recorded.
Yep.
Lots of things have happened. We have a tournament coming up this weekend, Utrecht, which is really interesting. It's a European SPE. You've recently played in Europe.
Yep, I went to Dortmund. That was a lot of fun. I was able to make top 8 there with the same old no VIP Guardy deck that I've been playing forever.
I don't know if you could say forever. You took a tournament off.
I guess I took one tournament off, yeah, but it was like Knoxville Portland, then Knoxville and Dortmund.
I think we literally made an episode that said, "Do not play this deck."
Well, yeah, I got donked. I got donked a few too many times in a row, especially at League Cups, and I wavered. I did.
All right, so let's talk about, first tournament. Let's breeze it in. I know we're like, hey, we spent a lot of time on this, but Knoxville. So yeah, Knoxville. We both went. Great city. First time I was there. I know you've been there. First time. The weather was great, especially coming from Canada. Mm-hmm. Huge stadium. Great location for the venue. Wi-Fi really sucked.
Yeah, it was like downstairs, and I couldn't get pairings.
Yep, we spent a lot of time refreshing there, but I played Entei. You played Gardevoir. How did your tournament go?
Well, it was a long one, so I started off 6-0. I played against a lot of good matchups, a couple lost box decks.
Did you play against Charizard like 4 times at the start?
Maybe not 4 times, but definitely 2 or 3 times.
Yeah,
definitely several Charizards, Moons, lost box. Pretty comfortable 6-0 start. And then I got double donked in round 7 by Tina. And I know what the viewers are thinking out there. They're going, "Oh, if you had VIP pass in your deck, maybe you wouldn't have got donked." Well,
that's what I'd be thinking.
Well,
but you had VIP. Did you have VIP in Portland?
No VIPs there either. Yeah.
See, that's a pattern.
I mean, I guess I do get donked more, but I think it's worth it because the games where I don't get donked, my deck fires like so well. Every time, I think actually every time I Mirage Step for 3 Kirlias and don't misplay, I win. Yeah, in Knoxville and Dortmund, all my losses were either double donks or me misplaying. So I think that feels like a pretty good deck to me.
I think actually in this format, when you think about it, there's a lot of like donk potential. Mm-hmm. There's very much a lot of donk potential, and a lot of decks have that ability to donk. So I think if your deck can donk people, you just have to accept that you will get donked at some point. Like, I actually think that there's much less games that are like always full. Like, there's always a game right now. I think we've been talking about it since we've come back with VMAXs, that you're going to brick one game, I'm going to brick one game, so let's hope we have one really good game that decides it, right? Which I don't think
it happens.
I don't think we ever had that discussion about Pokemon and thought about it in that way before.
Yeah, I think there's like a good mix of like fast decks and setup decks, and they tend to interact that way, where like when the setup decks don't get going, I mean, you get donked. So if you're a Gardevoir player, if you're a Charizard player, Champao, we're all trying to set up stage 2s. Sometimes it's not going to work out and you're going to get donked. It's just part of the game, really.
Yeah, it's very interesting to come back, and it's a new topic for us to think about here, is that when we think of, in our past, let's say 6-7 years, the format that everyone likes to go back on is the Zoroark format. And if you really think about the triangle of Zoroark GX, Buzzwole GX, and Malamar, there was not much donk. Maybe it's because they're big basics.
Yeah, like Tapu Lele helped you not get donked a lot.
Yeah, everyone played Bridget. Okay, that makes more
was
sense.
Like huge.
And right now, there's such a reliance on using Battle VIP Pass, which you weren't using, and you got donked.
Yeah, so it does happen. So, you know, if you really hate being donked, if it makes you really angry when you don't get to play, or maybe you're playing a best of one tournament, like a League Cup, maybe don't. Maybe that's where you would play VIP Pass. Me personally, I'm okay. I think as long as I don't get donked twice in one set, I'm good. I can win. I can get donked once and then just win the other two.
How often would you get donked in one set and then win?
Like, very often.
Okay.
And it's kind of a good formula because Gardevoir games are slow. So if I get donked once, then the other two games I have, like, I don't know, 22 minutes for each game. Like, that's a pretty good spot to be in time-wise, right? So yeah, like if you played a VIP build and you didn't necessarily get donked, but maybe you got like a couple Ralts and then you get like one Curlia and then like eventually you get a Gardevoir. Like those games are like so deadly for the timer. Like I know those VIP Pass Guardy players know what I'm talking about. You have those games, then you win the next one, and then you just tie because you spent 15 minutes playing this game where you like kind of set up, but like it was hopeless. So. I like that part of no VIP.
And then anything crazy happened in that Tina matchup?
Yeah. My Tina opponent, in one of the games, well, both of them I got double donked, but in the first game, he started Giratina V-Star, which is not a basic Pokemon. So we went to start the round, he flipped over Giratina V-Star, and then he went, oh, that's not a Giratina V. And at first, the judges came over and said it was going to be a game loss, which like I was kind of hype about. My hand was really bad. But they de-escalated it to a DPL, which was probably warranted.
It makes sense because technically, you know, it should have been a mulligan.
Yeah, like just mulligan.
He gave you free information. You know, did he go first?
Yeah, he was going first. The only information he really gained was seeing my starting Pokemon. Yeah. So it's like really, it's a pretty small advantage. So
and in any other world, it's basically a game loss because then you're just taking 4 prizes. And
exactly. Yeah. If I had any good setup, it would have, but I did not. So I ended up losing that one. And then I think I hit a Lost Box deck after that, and my opponent tried to Mawile me. I used Turo, and then I put my Jirachi back down, tried to Mawile me again, and I Palpatted my Turo, and they did not expect that one. We actually had a little bit of banter. He said, like, oh, like, I was kind of surprised you put the Jirachi back down. I was like, did this guy really just, like, throw the game? And no, I didn't. I had another Turo. So
was that Kyogre? Because I saw a lot of Kyogre builds were playing.
Yep. It was, like, the Kyogre Mawile thing with, like, the counter catchers. Yep, and then I had a Roaring Moon, and that was a slam dunk. Actually, in round 9, I went down 6-3 against Roaring Moon, and I did the Palpad the Turo again on my EX, so that there's never one turn where I had an EX on the board, and I was able to make the 6-3 comeback, which was pretty sweet, actually.
They probably were like, wow, I got a 3 against Gardevoir. This is going to be great.
Yeah. They definitely thought they were in a great spot, and then I just, like, popped off. You know, I spun their Pokestop a bunch of times, discarded like some good cards, but like a lot of energies, items that really helped me like turbo through my deck.
Is it worth using the Pokestop?
Yeah, it's hard. I like using Pokestop a lot when I have Super Rod in my hand. So like if you Pokestop and you mill away your EX or your Arcana or whatever, you kind of have that protection. And then otherwise, the reason I was spinning the stop was because I knew I needed to kind of high roll. Like I needed to remove my EX twice in order to win the game. So I figured I need to take risks. I need to thin my deck out aggressively so that I can actually hit this Turo play twice. So that's really what made me spin the Pokestop. It's like, do I need to take this risk in order to win this game? Whereas like if I was only down 2 prizes, then maybe I don't need to take that risk.
Yeah.
And then, so I was 8-1 going into day 2, and I played against Alex Kreckler in round 10. Great player. Yeah, Rapid Strike enjoyer. I mean, I'm pretty sure his Limitless page is like all Rapid Strike. So I was a little nervous. It's it's kind of scary. They have a lot of spread, and sometimes they can just kind of run you off the board. But game one, I played to a position where I thought I actually had checkmate. But he started his turn, said that he thought he had game, flipped over his V-Star marker, used Forest Sealstone, and then thought for a second and scooped. So clearly he prized.
Is he baiting you?
I know. I was like, I was so confused because I couldn't think of a single card he could Sealstone for.
And with Alex, for the most part, I would assume they're being honest.
Yeah, and also I would assume he like knows what he's doing. Like I wouldn't have assumed that he thought he had game and then realized he actually didn't. So I was really confused. And then for any of you guys out there, maybe I'll tell the board state a bit more. I had a Lumineon on the bench with no damage on it. And he had no Inteleon VMAX in play, just Radiant Alakazam. And he had a way to one-shot my Lumineon. It was a certain Pokemon. Now, if you know this Pokemon that lets your Rapid Strike Pokemon do 30 more damage to the bench, then you are a Pokemon savant, because I did not know what Passimian did. And that's what it does. It makes your Rapid Strike Pokemon do 30 more to the bench.
Wait, it doesn't make it so if you have more Passimians, it does 30 more?
Yo,
I think that was the last time a Passimian's been playable.
That's the real Passimian. For those of you who know that one, that was cool.
That's a monkey.
In the Zoroark format?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, whenever like a monkey type Pokemon is good in Pokemon, it's like very like that Passimian had a whole deck, and then Oranguru.
Oh yeah, that card was really
and
good.
Then Oranguru and Lugia.
Yeah, there's two good Orangurus. Yeah.
And there's three. Because there was the draw 3, the Mew.
Yeah.
The Mew.
I was remembering the draw 3. I was forgetting the resource management one. That one,
which
oh my gosh.
You played that a lot.
Yeah,
that one did a lot of games.
Pokemon. Yeah, a lot of toxic control decks. I miss those. So anyways, yeah, and then I was able to beat Alex because he prized his Passimian in game 1, which was super lucky. And then game 2, he had a bit of a slow start. And I just constantly was counter-catchering in his Alakazam. I think he used his escape rope on turn 1. Maybe he like researched it away. And that Alakazam was just stuck in the active for so long that I was able to stabilize and close that one out.
It's a good thing they can attack with it. They definitely can.
They definitely can.
Because the attack is actually pretty good against Gardevoir.
Yeah, right? It does damage for like each card you have.
Hand.
Yeah, and usually I got like 10, 15 cards. Yeah. So that would definitely take some knockouts, but they don't play Psychic Energy, so I was good. And then if I look at my notes, what else was notable? I mean, I got donked the round after that, double donked by Roaring Moon. So I mean, justice, a little bit of a pattern here. Well, I guess not completely double donked. In the first game, I prized my Mirage Step, in the first game I prized double Curlia, which led to me getting like run off the board, and then in game 2 I prized my Mirage Step. So I had to take a risk, didn't bench Manaphy, got a couple Curlias down, and then my opponent went Pokemon Catcher, bring in your Greninja, Mew EX, destroy all your Curlias, and I was toast from there. So not truly a donk, but I don't think I set up a Gardevoir EX.
Do you like Catcher in that deck?
Yeah, I do like the Pokemon Catchers in Roaring Moon. And it kind of goes back to Fusion Mew from last year. So anyone who was playing Fusion Mew last year, I was really adamant that Pokemon Catchers were good in that deck because you had the turn 1 attacking potential with Meloetta. And one of the biggest themes in Pokemon is like this 2-prize game where you go 2-2-2 and you win the game in 3 turns. So what a lot of people will do against Roaring Moon is they'll end their turn 1 with a 1-prize Pokemon in the active, like Miraidon might throw up a Mareep, Entei Valiant, you might throw up like your Moltres or something. So you can really take advantage of this, and if they're really smart, they'll actually put down 2 so that they can't get escape roped either. But with Pokemon Catcher, you don't care. You can take that turn 1 knockout and put yourself on pace to win the game in 3 attacks, because with Roaring Moon, you know your opponent's going to be able to win in 3 attacks. So it's really important that you're initiating that prize trade with a 2-prize knockout. So I definitely like the Catchers there.
Okay, so Donk by Moon, recurring story. What else is going on in your tournament here?
Donk by Moon. I had a couple more games. I played against Raymond Long, and we were both playing Guardy, and we agreed to play a best of 1 Guardy match. And so we took our time, and we actually ended up going to turns in game 1, which like was kind of funny, but
actually not very surprising when it comes to the situation.
Yeah, Gardevoir. I mean, we both were like, we knew we were just playing one game, so we super took our time. Definitely over like the allotted rules or whatever, but we're friends, so we have kind of camaraderie there. And I ended up making a mistake against Raymond. I came down to a situation where all I needed to find an energy to retreat, and then on the next turn, I needed a boss's orders. And I had a super rod, and with the super rod, I put in a refinement Curlia, which was good, and then I put in 2 energies so that I could get the energy that turn to retreat. But the problem was that my Lumineon was in the discard, so my odds of hitting boss's orders on the next turn were way too low. And I ended up doing the math, and I gave myself a really good chance at hitting the energy, but a really poor chance at hitting boss. So what I should have done is put 1 less energy in, think further ahead, and know that I needed that Lumineon for the boss, and I could have raised my odds by a lot. So I think I calculated with the way I played it, I had a 33% chance at winning, and if I played it better, I would have had like a 66%. So
It's actually so interesting, and I know you're going to find this funny, like, because I'm thinking of the longs, and you talked about Super Rod, and there was like the Rescue Stretcher Starmie, but I actually think my favorite Raymond Long story is watching him in the finals of Peoria against Jack, and then he Super Rods, and he Super Rods 2 Pokemon in.
Yo, the double Super
And
Rod.
then he thinks, and he Super Rods 1 thing back in.
Yeah, regional champion plays, bro.
I'm
What can
just
I say?
like super like recursion cards and Long Brothers. Like name a better combo.
Oh.
So yeah, you guys play the one game there, and then what's next?
Yeah, and then I played a Gardevoir Mirror. That was a super close game. Nothing too specific to touch on there. We did finish 2 games. We played a bit faster and just finished 2 games naturally. And then I played against Ian Robb in the Winnenden, and he was playing Tina.
And this is I'm gonna stop. I was watching you in day 2, and we like it at regionals whenever people come up and they're like, hey, we love the podcast. I mean, that's the biggest reason we put it out. And we met some people. Shout out to the Oklahoma City Pokemon region. I mean, I really can't think of much about Oklahoma City and Canadians, but they have Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, who's a really good basketball player, so there's a big connection there. But they came up to us. They put a bunch of people in day 2. We had really great talks with them, and they kind of watched us in real time, the shenanigans. And if you guys are watching this, you think these are just 2 guys. Like, we are actually friends. We really do enjoy each other.
Yeah.
And he's going up against Ian Robb, and Ian Robb, we know he's a top player. He's on the Panther. You got like Azul, Rowan, Ian Robb's right up there. So Ian comes in, and Ian Robb, and I've said this, for those that watch like fitness YouTube, there's a bodybuilder called William Tennyson, and he just looks like Ian Robb that's just spent every day in the gym instead of the Pokemon gym. And Ian spends a good time in the gym, but Will is much bigger. So Ian's walking in, and I gotta help the boy. Like anything that you can do to support your friends. And anything you can do to support your friends. And I just go, hey, Ian, how much do you bench? And Rowan's like, don't ask him that.
I definitely thought Ian Robb would have benched more than me. I was ready to get embarrassed, man.
And just Rowan was benching more than Ian. I hope that would set the bar, set the bar and put Rowan kind of in the driver's seat. But you can't get in Ian Robb's head.
No, he was unfazed.
The guy just knows Pokemon. He's got his hat on. He's ready to go. He's just moving forward like the kid from Up. With the hat, like Russell.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is
He's
he always moving forward?
He's got
the same hat.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I guess he's got the same hat. Yeah, sure.
And the Oklahoma City guys just like, yo, did you just
just bench checked him?
You just bench checked him. So, unfortunately, the support wasn't there. You can talk about the match. Yeah.
I mean, there's really only one thing to say. I mean, we obviously we did this take before, and I've already been roasted. But I actually in game 2. Ian started Spiritomb, and I had Zacian, and I really needed the Psychic Energy so that I could Barrage Step on the next turn, and I wasn't thinking, and I used Roar the Sword under Spiritomb, which was a DPL, and the worst part of the story, which I see you unmuting to tell this part of the story, it's okay, I got it, at last year at NAIC, I actually did the exact same thing against Ian and Rob. I used Zacian under Spiritomb on camera. Yeah, so here, I'll roll the clip right here. You guys can see that even top players make mistakes. I don't know what it is about Spiritomb, but if I'm not playing Mew, I seem to think that this card just does nothing. So definitely got to work on that.
I think it's actually really good for you to tell, too, about your game one.
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, the game one. Yeah, game one was a super good game. It came down to this interesting position where, and this would actually make a good puzzle, but we were both stuck at 2 prizes, and I had actually prized my boss's orders, and we were both in a situation where he had a Tina V-Star on the bench, and I had my Gardevoir EX on the bench, and neither of us wanted to knock out a 1-prizer because it would allow the other person to use Counter Catcher. So we actually passed it back to each other, I think 2 or 3 times each. I was trying to bluff that I had a boss's orders, that I was drawing to it. I was like trading a bunch and trying to make him think I was going for boss. Of course, I prized it. So my only win condition was that he killed something and then I could use Counter Catcher. But he was too smart. He just kept passing. And then eventually he drew his boss's orders, which was not prized, and nuked my Gardevoir EX for game. So I think a lot of players in that spot would have just used Sableye and killed a 1-prizer, and then I would have counter-catchered them for game. So that's definitely something to watch for. And when you're playing Gardevoir, those 2-2 kind of stalemates happen a lot. And actually, I get a lot of people ask me why there's a Lumineon in my deck. They don't think the card's good. But in those situations where it's a 2-2 stalemate, if you only have 1 boss's orders in your deck, even if you're drawing a lot of cards, you might not get it. Whereas if you're playing Lumineon and then maybe you have 1 or 2 Ultra Balls in your deck, now suddenly your 15 card deck, instead of having 1 out, you have 3, which is a massive boost. So that's why I love Lumineon in the deck, I guess.
Now you're playing Lumineon. What about 4 Sealstone?
I know. I've had people ask me about this too, and maybe, I don't know. I've never actually done it. I think it's kind of awkward because I feel there would be situations where I have the Sealstone and I don't have a V in play. And then I wouldn't really want to bench a V Pokemon just to Sealstone, but it could be good. It could be a better consistency card than maybe Nest Ball is probably the worst consistency card. So yeah, that might be good. I might look into that actually.
Yeah, so also in Knoxville, you were in day 2. I wasn't. I lost my 4th win-in of the year, so it's really tough. We talked about this, and we'll get onto some of the tough part. But I played Entei Valiant, and I think when it comes to aggressive decks, Entei Valiant is there's just games that you just win. You just win, no matter what. So I actually played against Charizard, Pidgeot 5 times in the tournament. I went 4-1 against it. Which is amazing. That's what you want. So the deck just clears the Charizard matchup. Radianzard lets you do a lot of things. They're going to bench Rotom. A lot of those games were close. And you donk a lot of people, but your bad hands, you're probably going to get donked yourself. So it's something you just kind of have to accept with the deck, as we were talking about earlier with some of the stuff there. My win-in was against Karis, who's one of the top seniors in North America's mother. Shout out. She was in her 2nd regional. So imagine 2nd regional playing for your first day 2. And I remember just having a discussion with her, and I was like, oh my God, you must have a great testing partner. Mom, you're killing it. And she's like, I always get jokes play better decks or don't. But she started Charmander. My appetite, I was ready to eat. I was ready. I saw everything on the line. I thought we'd get there pretty easily. We were able to win game 1, but she was actually playing Arceus Charizard. And if there's one thing I can tell you about Entei Valiant is that hitting 280,
hey,
it's a lot of work.
Radiant Charizard, Choice Belt.
Oh, Choice
Belt.
Yeah, so I actually got the deck from the Entei father himself, Noah Sawyer. We sat beside each other in Charlotte, where he lost a Snorlax, and I was like, hey, Noah, Entei seems really good in the meta right now. He's like, yeah, I think so too. So I basically played 59 out of his 60. I had an Iono in my deck. He gave me a choice band, and I said, hey, what's this choice band for? And he's like, Mew is a very bad matchup. I expect a lot of Mew. This will help our Mew matchup. And I was like, okay. And then there's definitely text messages throughout the day, me and him going, why are we playing Choice Belt? So in round 5, going back a bit, I played against the mirror. And that's, I think, one thing we don't do enough in Pokemon is practice the mirrors.
Yeah.
I think it's very like easy to practice all your matchups, but like who practices the Miraidon mirror?
Especially like you might not own 2 Miraidon decks,
Like
right?
Charizard Gardevoir mirrors, like I think everyone's practicing that because they're so tough. The Tina mirror, Lost Box mirrors, but like these fringe aggressive decks, like Roaring Moon mirror, it's a flip.
Yeah.
Right? Like that's what
It's
we say to
It's still worth practicing.
That's what we say to ourselves. So, but my opponent put a Bravery Charm on his Entei and passed. Didn't think he could get knocked out, and I benched, and with the combination of Lost Vacuum and then Choice Belt, he went oh. When I touched the choice, and you've definitely had those moments where your opponents go oh, and it's like one of the most satisfying feelings in the game when they just give you the oh. So Choice Band was good there. Choice Band was actually good. Charizard with a Radiant Zard with a ban actually did knock out an Arceus. That's how I was able to win game 1. Game 2 was much closer. Took me for everything that I had. In game 3, I started poorly, and the whole game was about Away trying to get back into the game, but she really knew her deck. I wished her a lot of good luck into day 2. And then, very, very disappointed. And one thing, too, I know you were disappointed about not making top 8, having a win in it. And it's so hard when you're in the moment because you expect a certain level out of yourself. I expect a certain level out of myself. Like, we both know where we should be in our respective places. Like, I'm not thinking, hey, I should top 8 every tournament because I know that's not where I am in the game. I think that's where you are, that you're very close there all the time. And in every regional, you've been very close to that for the most part. But for me, it's like really disappointing because you're trying to push. And I know that we're not the only ones that feel this way, but the one thing that we push, because every time you have a negative thought, and it's really hard because it's so easy to come down, but we're talking about F1 earlier, and when you have a negative thought in your car, that's horrible. Like, you have 72 laps to go.
Yeah.
So if like something happens in the first lap or you have to like push. It's a marathon, and Pokemon tournaments are marathons. They're not sprints, right?
Yeah, I mean, even in F1, you see people at the back of the grid, Latifi.
Yeah.
He might be at the back of the grid, but after lap 1, lap 2, lap 72, he's still driving, like, as good as he can,
You have to, like, figure out, there's always something to gain from playing tournament Pokemon. Every game of Pokemon you play, there's always something to gain. And I said, hey, you know what, a lot of people would be so happy with the top 16, right? And then for me, it's so hard because I'm so disappointed, but there'd be a lot of players I know that would be happy to have 4 chances at a day 2, right? Like, just to see that consistency. And one thing I've been doing and working on being really better at is being like a better loser, as he's sound, because, you've been playing Pokemon since
2014.
Yeah, so you've been playing Pokemon for 10 years. You've been playing Pokemon since you're 10 years old.
Yeah.
I've been playing card games since I was 10 years old, and that's 22 years. You're 10 years in. And when you're a good player, when you're playing these games, you expect things to go a certain way. Like that's why I always say, like, don't tell me the math, because you can always figure out the math. And I don't want to have the math and have the realization of like how much I missed on. And there are definitely times I know that at League Cups, because I want to win so bad and I expect to do well, that when I lose, you are salty, right?
It sucks. It sucks for everyone to lose.
Yeah. You were pretty against Ian. It was pretty gracious because you guys are competitors. It's like at that top level of the sport.
Yeah.
And it was your mistake. So like you.
He played better. I told him. I said, you deserve the win. Like, good luck.
Yeah. And I don't want to take anything away. So everyone that I've lost to in that win in, I've actually really taken a step back, taken a deep breath, really congratulated them, because for a lot of them it was their first day too, and really given that. And even locally, I'm trying to be much better at that. Like, I was at a challenge yesterday, and at this point now with locals, caps, I'm really going to practice, right? And I was saying to Rowan earlier, the difference between, there are winners and there's champions, right? And there's always going to be a winner in a game. But what really separates people that are champions from winners is like attitude. There's a champion's attitude. And when it comes to coaching and it comes to kids that I'm working with or people I'm working with, it's really deciphering which one of the two they're trying to be, right? Because there's some people that just want to win more games of Pokemon. But for the champions, the biggest difference is after you lose, you're still thinking about the game, but you cannot wait to play more Pokemon, right?
Yep.
So one of the games I lost yesterday against Sneaker Talk, big fan of the podcast. Go check out his YouTube channel. He's really good. He's local. I Iono'd him and got rid of his Forest Seal Stone. He was playing Miraidon. I was playing Charizard, Bibarel, and I just knew I was in a really good spot to win the game next turn. And me and Rowan, one thing I think we're both good at is like watching people's tells and just like seeing him be able to see the game. Yeah. And he was visibly frustrated from the Iono to 2. And then he drew for turn. And then he was still, and then he fleet-footed, and he went, oh, I got it. And then he hit like a 3-card combo to win the game, and then he was like, hey, like, I'm sorry. And I said, no, like, I'm just happy, like, there was no other way I could lose, right? He's like, you got rid of all my switching options, you got rid of my stone, like, you were going to win that game. I got very lucky. And then I lost a few more games in that challenge, and every game I lost, I was like, let's play again. So, like, I was trying Charizard Bibarel to see if this deck is good. I went against Charizard Pidgeot. Perfect start. TM Evolution, Bibarel, Charmeleon, a Charmander, a Squovit, and then he drew for turn and went Pidgeot, Boss your Bibarel, KO.
Oh, the only Bibarel, right?
And I was like, okay, cool. And then after I was like, hey, like, do you think I should go first in this thing? He's like, I think you in Charizard you should go first in the mirror so you can set up and you get the first attack, which I don't know if it's true. Mm-hmm. But afterwards I was like, okay, let's play again. I'll go first. And then I set up 2 Bibarel. Yeah. And I think I was going to win the game. Yeah. So the wanting to keep playing, because it's so easy to be upset, but I just want to play more Pokemon. Even this week, and you have a lot of other responsibilities, I've just been thinking and wanting to play Pokemon, so getting back to that level, and I know at this part of the season there's a lot of people disappointed, there's a lot of people going, but the number one reason you should enjoy playing Pokemon is competition.
Yeah, like when I lost Ian Robb, the first thought is, like, now I'm done playing. Like, that sucks. Like, I wanted to keep going. I wanted to keep playing. And like even like at league challenges, sometimes like in the last round of the league challenge, my opponent will be like, oh, like, do you want the win? Like, do you need the CP, whatever? And I'm like, no, like, I come to these league challenges like to play Pokemon. Like, I'm here to like compete, right? So I think that's definitely like the champion mindset, right? And how to improve, like having that mindset. Eventually you will become better, right?
Yeah, and I think for that it is you need to surround yourself with, again, like better people to gain more experience and to push forward and have those questions. But a lot of times, like, we talk a lot and you're like I see why you like this deck or whatnot, but I'm so hard-hearted. I'm still going to play that deck because that's what I enjoy. You also want to play with decks that you enjoy, and I think that pushes. And, I was watching Azul's podcast. He was talking about the Kyogre deck they were playing, and he said he got out-vetoed, and they played like 2 counter catchers instead of a counter catcher boss, and he's like, he wished he played the boss, and he's one of the best players in the game. And I think even though you're in a testing team with all those other best players in your group, like, dude, just play the boss. Like,
yeah, sometimes you just gotta go with what you want,
yeah,
right? What
and
you
just go, like, and that way you're not having that negativity throughout the day. And I don't think he was, but being like, oh, I wish I had a boss here, right? So, but speaking of getting better, speaking of moving to one level forward, you got on a plane.
And I went to Dortmund.
Guten Tag. Shout out to our 5% of listeners from Germany. We see that on the YouTube. It's probably, I think it's 5 to 7%.
Okay,
yeah, we got a bunch in England too. So thank you to our European listeners. But yeah, so you went to Dortmund. I see you got the Dortmund hoodie on.
I do got the Borussia Dortmund hoodie. Don't ask me any questions about the team. I'm a fake fan, guys.
Can you name one player on the team?
Yo, I said no questions. No, next question.
Next question.
Pokemon questions only. But I did go to the football game there, and it was a lot lot of fun.
I just wanted to tell everyone on our first take he kept saying soccer. So like, don't cringe. Football. They won 3-0. So
it was a sick game. Everyone in the arena was hype. Lots of cheering going on.
What did you eat in Dortmund?
I ate a lot of doner. That was like the number one street food. It was like €7 usually, and you got like this like massive sandwich. It was delicious, like the garlic sauce, or like, you know what? I don't even know what was in it because I didn't speak German. But
Danke.
Dankeschön. And sometimes they would like start asking me questions. I'd just be like komplett, which apparently meant everything. So they liked that one. It was pretty easy, and it never did me wrong. You know, every doner I had was delicious. So that was definitely also a highlight. But onto the Pokemon part, the event itself was also awesome. I mean, the venue I found was like they used the space very well, which I liked. They fit as many players as they could. With these registrations nowadays, like sometimes people don't get in. So I was really appreciative that they used the space as well as possible. Some people were like, oh, we're too close together. I'm just happy to see as many people play as possible. So that was good. My round one, I ended up tying. And I ended up tying game one. So I was playing Gardevoir, of course, again. And my opponent was playing Mew. And we ended up having a really close game one and a really close game two. And we ended up going to game three with about 15 minutes on the clock. And for those of you who have watched my video on playing quickly to avoid ties and win more games, 15 minutes is like about the time. It's a bit short on what I need to complete a game, and especially I felt my opponent played a little slower. So I ended up not doing a comprehensive prize check at the start of the game. I kind of just whipped through my deck, checked to see that there was one Gardevoir EX and like one Arcana, and I think I counted my path bumps and all my Curlias, and that was about it. And then at the end of the game, I set it up so I had exactly enough turns to win. On my third turn of the game, I just needed to put down a Gardevoir EX and like a Zacian 9 energy knockout. But I actually prized my Gardevoir EX, so if I did a proper prize check, I would have known that. But if I spent 2 minutes or a minute and a half doing a more thorough prize check, I never would have put myself in a position where I could win the game. Like I needed every turn. If time was called one turn earlier, it wouldn't have mattered that I did a perfect prize check and I played perfectly because I would have tied anyways. So I came away. I was proud of myself for like putting myself in a position to complete the game. Unfortunately, took a tie there, and then round two, I got double donked. The classic. My Palkia opponent, I think I prized Manaphy one of the games, and then I Mirage stepped for two, and he just ninja'd both my Curlias. And so that was pretty brutal, but ended up rattling off 7 games in a row after that. Hit a lot of good matchups, lots of Zard, Moon, Lost Box decks, an Arceus deck, and my deck functioned, and I was able to put together a solid day one run. And then heading into day two, my round 10 was against Robin Schulz, which I was really excited about because I've watched Robin Schulz on Pokemon streams, and I know
world champion. Oh, that was a world champion matchup.
World champion
Robin Schulz.
Yeah. So that was awesome. I was really excited for that. He was playing this really cool Sablezard deck, and he had four Pokestops, 2 Palpads, and Cross Switchers in his deck. I mean, you could look up the deck on Limitless. Maybe I'll put it on the screen here. But in game one, it came down to a position where he had all 4 of his Colress in the discard pile. And I Iono'd him to like 2 or 3, and I thought like the game was over. And then he goes, draw, Pokestop into double Palpad, put back all 4 Colress, and then he comfied into a Colress. And I was like, oh, that's not good. But
knowing you would have been like, this is wild. Like when he did that play, you would have been like in your head, you're like, this is wild. I did not see this coming.
Yeah, I was like, yo, what? And I was like, that's got to be pretty good, right? And he kind of laughed and was like, oh yeah, it's good. But then game one took like 35 minutes or 30 minutes, something like that. And heading into game two, I really don't like some people in that spot would say, I just play super slow as Guardy and like the series is over. I didn't want to do that.
They would say, take your time.
Yeah,
make sure that you're making the best decision possible every turn. Like I had that recently, and I mean, there's a lot of different ways, and that's how people want to play. But I think it's like one of those situations where you never bench like a 2 prizer, so you never let them get in, but like you actively want to try to win. And this is one thing I'll say to people out there is like, there is a lot of times that you do that, right? And like you start playing, you play a little bit more tempo, and then you get very unlucky and they beat you, and then you have no time for game 3 and it's a tie anyway, right? And it's actually a horrendous feeling, and it's like, okay, like you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, a lot of the time that does backfire. I'll see people do this against me all the time. Like game 1 will be 25 minutes and they'll slow down for game 2, and I'm like you're an idiot. Like I'm gonna speed up. We are gonna finish this game and then we're gonna tie. So it's like, let's just try to finish the series. Like we get more match points. Like if you if we get one each, like I don't know, that's 2 total, and like like on average, you both get screwed. So, anyways, I was playing against Robin, and he didn't speed up.
You played fast to give him a chance to go to 3 games.
I did. I was playing fast. I was playing like fast. I had an EX down. I was attacking, and I thought I had a good position. Like I think I would have won game 2 anyways. But yeah, I kind of asked him after the game. I was like, "Yo, why didn't you play faster?" And he I don't remember exactly what he said, but he didn't know really. And yeah, so definitely like in those spots. I mean, again, back to my video about finishing games and avoiding ties. That was a position where he just had to like throw things in the active. You know, he had to just chuck cards in the lost zone, get a cram going, get a Sableye going, and like just attack. And if like even if that meant he was playing like bad or like he was misplaying a bunch, he just needed to be faster.
And as always, when we talk about time, there's always time to talk about our sponsor, Game Time Collectibles. If you're in Canada, it's gametime.ca. Use Coach Mark as your promo code for 5% off. And maybe with some of that time coaching, Robin could have. I think that's a thing. Maybe he was resigned to like, okay, I'm doing this, and I think that's a because I know they haven't been playing as much. But I think that no matter what, like if you want to kick in, you're like, hey, I just lost this game 1, like. That deck can actually speed through too, right? Because it's basically a turbo deck.
Yeah, they can turbo some cards in the lost zone. You know, they got vacuums and they can get attacking.
Now, what was your record at this point? Like, what were you at?
So I was 7-1-1 into that round, and then I beat him, so I'm 8-1-1 now.
Yeah, actually, your day 2, you had a better record going, and you were actually lower on like the number
Knoxville?
of people than Knoxville. Because I was keeping up with that tournament. So yeah, 7-1-1 and then 8-1-1.
Yep, and then I played a couple uneventful games in a row. Oh no, I didn't actually. The next round. Guess what happened?
Double donked.
I got double donked by Arnie.
With all these double Ds, you've been getting slapped by in the face. Maybe Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, Dunkin' Donuts.
Maybe Dunkin' Donuts should become a sponsor of the podcast.
Oh my gosh, that's not what I was thinking when you said double Ds, but
this is a Pokemon trading card game podcast.
Pokemon trading card game podcast. Anyways, though, yeah, I played against Arnie. He was playing Fusion Mew, and I actually think I started Lumineon both games, and then like maybe I had one Ralts. I don't know.
I also think it's just justice. It's another pattern of Mew.
Yo, Mew always destroys me
at
every
Portland,
time.
It was the same thing, right?
It's like it's mad that I abandoned it. But anyways, yeah. So I got double donked, and then had a couple uneventful, like just good matchups. I played well, and nothing too special. And then in my last round, I was 11-2-1, and I needed a tie to guarantee my top 8 spot. But I actually got down paired, and my opponent needed a win to make top 8. But I think the tie gave them top 16. So kind of talked for a bit. He asked me like, should I tie? And I was like, oh man, like I would love to tie, but I told him, I said, like, I can't really advise you because, of course, I just want to tie, so I'm going to tell you to tie, but...
the honesty.
Yeah, like, I didn't want
to... It's like what ChatGPT would tell us, just be more honest in our conversations.
Yeah. So, yeah, I told him, and he said, okay, then I guess I better play. So we played game 1, and I actually smoked him in game 1. He never set up a barrel, and he kind of was stalling out in the mid game, and he ended up like attacking my Gardevoir for 200 with Entei, and then I Turrowed it, and then he attacked my Gardevoir again for 200.
He was playing Entei?
Yeah, Entei. Yeah. And then I Pal-Patted my Turrowed again, and
That's
beat
pretty
him.
demoralizing.
It was. I think it was demoralizing. I think the demoralizing nature of the win contributed
to him being like, "Would you like to tie?"
Yeah, after the game, I was like, like just so you know, like I would still like to tie, like if you want. And he was like, oh, okay. And then he didn't realize actually that I was like, let's tie right now. He thought he had to win game 2 to tie me.
Oh,
and I was
I think some people, don't.
And I was like, no, like I will tie like right now, up a game, like just get me in top 8. And he was like, okay. So that was good. Made it into top 8. And
it's nice when you get, because you hope people do that to you like it's just good karma. Like there was a situation in Brazil that I was playing against like a newer player, and then Genesis was sitting beside me, and his opponent no-showed. I was playing, and I didn't want it to see. I'm so afraid of like coercion. Like my first day 2, I played against Zhao, and we went to time, and I conceded to him in time, and then I had a judge call with like 4 judges asking why I would concede in time. asking me if he coerced me, and I'm like, no, we both could have played faster. He showed me in his hand he was going to win the next turn. If I was in the same position, I would like
But for him to scoop to you, right?
Yeah, but a lot of people won't do it. But like I know I will, just coming from Magic. And then I said that to the judges, and they were like, "Oh, that's pretty honorable." Because I guess it was just so unexpected Pokemon.
Yeah.
And I'm playing this person, and I don't think they want to play anymore. And I thought the same thing. I was like, I won game one, and I was like, all right, let's just try to like win the next one. But I didn't. You don't want to get in trouble. You don't want like that DQ at Charlotte.
Mm-hmm.
But then Genesis afterwards, like, man. She just wanted to concede to you the whole. She tried to concede to you in after game one, and you were like, "No."
Did she try to concede?
That's what he said that she did, and I didn't know
what she was
putting.
saying.
I didn't pick it up, and I just, I played, and I just tried to be nice. I just avoid those things, but I'm happy that like you did something good for the person, because there's a huge chance you're just gonna win that game anyway.
Yeah, and like I don't know, I wouldn't have felt good about it.
Yeah.
Like if I tied and then I don't know, and he like misses top 8 or whatever like at the start. So I'm glad that he knew, he was informed properly, and that was good. And then in top 8, I played against Owen Kammerman, who ended up winning the whole tournament. Congratulations.
Yeah, top 5 Dutch player of all time.
Top 5 Dutch player of all
top 5.
time.
I think now.
Are there that many good Dutch players?
There's.
I know Brendan Kammerman's
Sander.
pretty good. Sander. Okay.
Sander. Yeah, I know that you haven't met, but shout out to my favorite. I have 2 favorite Dutch players, actually.
Wow.
Bert Walters.
Oh,
In no order,
right.
Yeah, he's semi-retired. He's playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I hope he's hitting all his bonfires. And Brian DeVries.
Oh,
yeah.
He's
the man. He's got a lot of romantic suitors.
Oh, okay.
He's very, very good at Pokemon. He's played Gardevoir all season. His Limitless page is like filled every tournament. I don't think he's missed a day 2.
Oh.
And he plays very fast. I call him Brian to Speed.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So yeah, I hope
Sounds like a cool guy.
I'll introduce you to him. I got introduced to a lot of these people, and they're just great people. And I know Europe's got some great people. And speaking of that, like, did you feel, before we go into your top 8, did you feel any difference from the EU to like NA, like the differences regional? So like one thing that I found is there's someone I've been working with out in Colorado. They're an adult. They went to LA to see some friends, to go do stuff, and ended up playing in a cup. And then they like smashed the cup, got like top 8, got top 4. And I feel like there's this feeling of when you go somewhere where you don't know people. Same thing like when I went to a few Michigan Cups. Like you kind of play better than playing in your own local area.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel any of that at all? Did you feel like the caliber of players or the quality of the average player or just the lines and stuff? Did you feel the regionals were any different that way?
Yeah, I definitely, it was definitely a different experience. I think there was only like a couple people there that like I really knew. I feel like knowing less people helped me focus for sure, and I think it let me play like to the best of my ability. Because like I don't know, between rounds, I just kind of sat with a couple people and really stayed focused on the Pokemon part. And I loved the environment. Everyone was really friendly. Like sometimes, you go to like a cup that's a few hours away and like people are upset that you're like stealing their cup or whatever. I didn't get that vibe. Like everyone was like really nice to me in Europe, so I'll definitely like want to return. And then as far as the average player goes, I think,
and this is not to say that the quality, like differing, we have so many players in North America, and there's a lot of deep pockets. And us not being from Europe and not seeing, because I see that, my European friends that I have on Twitter, X, like, I see you guys traveling from one country to another country to do League Cups, which to us, I mean, if it's within, the U.S. that it's easy for us to get to, it's kind of worth it. I mean, that is another country. But Niddish going to Italy to play in a League Cup. He lives in England. That's a flight. That's, to me, to us, that's like... Because we would just drive to cups and stuff. So, with caliber player, what do you think?
I think there was a lot of people who were there for fun. Like I feel like in North America, like a lot of people have started taking the game very seriously, especially with resources online, like videos and coaching. And I felt like there was a lot of my opponents. They just kind of were showing up because the regional was close to them and they were there for fun. So I felt like my day 1 opponents on average were a little weaker. And then my day 2 opponents were all like super solid, something similar that you would see at a North American regional.
Yeah, I mean, especially in your top 8, you hit a very good player. In most North American top 8s, everyone's so good on day 2 for the most part. So, Chen Pao.
Yeah. So I was pretty resigned going into the game. I didn't play Screamtail. I didn't play Avery. So I really had no technology for the Chen Pao matchup. I was definitely not expecting the Chen Pao matchup. So going into the game, like I was pretty down. Not like down, but I just kind of wasn't expecting to win.
That's not a champion's mindset.
I know I wasn't. Yeah. I was going in. I was gonna do my best.
Yeah.
But I knew it was a bad matchup. Yeah. But I also knew that if I beat him, my bracket was really good.
Yep.
I can't remember what it was, but I think like if I beat him, I would hit like, I don't know, Goldengho at one point and like Tina or something like that. Like 2 decks that I felt very confident against. So game 1, he actually prized both of his Bidoofs. I believe that's what happened because he never set up a barrel, and that worked out really well. He kind of fizzled out in the middle of the game, and I was able to like counter catcher his backs, Iono, and like start killing his bench with Cress, and then like kill his backs, and that was good. And then game 2 was an interesting game actually. I was behind the whole time, and then at the end of the game, it came down to a position where it was his turn. And he was going down to 1 prize, but he only had 1 Baxcalibur on his bench, and then he had 2 barrels, and I think he had Radiant Greninja as well. And so what he did is he over-attached 1 energy so that on the next turn he could use cross switchers if I killed his Bax, and attach 1 more energy to kill my Manaphy for game, right? 120 damage. But what he didn't think about was that I could Pal Pad in my Turo my Manaphy, and counter catcher kill his Bax, leaving him with nothing he can kill on my entire board. So what he should have done was over attach an extra energy, like a second one, and he actually thought about it for a long time, I think, and I let him think because I didn't want to like rush him, and then he attaches the energy because I was like, if he doesn't attach this energy, I can get him. So he ended up not attaching the energy. I think he wanted to like have Radiant Greninja on the next turn or something. But my Pal Pad was the bottom card of my deck. I think I had maybe a 10 card deck, and I drew a bunch of cards.
Skill diff.
And unfortunately, did not get there, did not Turo, and then he just like killed my Manaphy for game. So I was pretty upset about that because in my head I was like, oh, he should have lost because
you pushed him into a corner.
He made a mistake,
and it was like sneaker talk, just stepped all over you.
Yeah, he just did it. He just won. I don't know. And then game 3 just went pretty poorly all around. I mean, I think I prized Mirage Step. So then on turn 2, I Pokestopped, and I told him, I was like, yo, like this has to be the greatest Pokestop ever. And then I Pokestopped into like literally the perfect cards, and I was like, oh my gosh. But it just still didn't matter. So the Pokestop let me go Candy Guardy, kill his only Frigibax with Cress, and then I just still lost.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he just like set up from there and like took several 2-prize turns.
It was a tournament of destiny. He was winning the tournament.
Yeah, tournament of destiny for him. So congratulations, Owen.
I think one of the big things too, like I said about that, is like that's the deck they've been playing, so they've just become a master of that deck. Yeah. So they just one thing I've been saying is like when someone plays a deck for a whole season and then they just push it, there gets to a point where you are rewarded in the lucky spots because you have played and gone through all the unlucky moments with a deck already in the year. And there are definitely times recently where I've been picking up decks like the morning of or the day before, trying new things where I'm just losing by a small minuscule thing, and then afterwards, like the way I can tell myself and push it is you are losing because you have not put enough like equity into this deck for this deck to reward you. I think that's like, and when you look at something like Chen Pao or the people like Reagan, when Lucas plays it, when Grand Shen plays it, they are rewarded by these decks that are higher variants because they put so much time. It's the same thing with Gardevoir. Like you do draw a lot more. For every double donk that you take, there are going to be more wins. It's almost like, all right, I'm going to get donked in like 20% of my games, but I'm going to win 80% of my games. It's almost like you're making that deal.
Yeah, and like when you play a higher volume,
Yeah.
your variance goes down. So like if you play 5 games, you might not actually experience 20%.
Yeah.
But then if you play 100 games, that number is going to look way
Over
closer,
time.
right?
One thing that you've been talking about your deck, and it's really stood out, because I know there's been a lot of changes, right? So what do you think about the decks that are playing less than 4 VIP, and if they're playing VIP in the list?
I mean, I think the smaller the number, the better. I don't like
Okay.
I just don't like the card. It just makes your deck so much worse for the rest of the game. Like, not only can you not play it, but also you can't, like, if it was a fog crystal, it's -1 card from your deck because the fog crystal goes to the discard, and then minus another card because you take out a psychic energy. So it's like a 2-card thinning difference. Which,
It's basically the same thing almost.
which is like it's so significant.
Yeah.
Like it's huge. But I think especially if you don't play Celebrations Mew, I think if you're playing a Celebrations Mew, then you should probably be playing 4 VIP, because the whole point is you can like turn a fog crystal into 2 Ralts by getting Mew, right?
Yeah.
So you want to be able to do that at a high frequency. But if you're not playing Mew, I think playing 3 VIP pass could be completely fine. Like, you don't need 2 VIP pass on turn 1. Like, you don't need a ton of basics. So
Turo is a must have.
Oh,
I know
must
that's been a
have.
big argument on X recently, is about people Turo or not. And then Palpad. You seem to be the only one playing Palpad, and Palpad came up a lot for you.
yeah, I really like Palpad. It does a few things. Well, it does everything, honestly. You get more Ionos, like against Lost Box. I can't tell you how many times maybe I prized an Iono, or like I Ultra Balled one away or something, and like you actually want to Ultra Ball, or not Ultra Ball, you want to Iono them like 5 times. So like just being able to like play 3 Ionos, Palpad more back, is great. Also, like Palpadding back Worker against Path decks is really good. It's an extra path out. Sometimes you want a boss in the mid game, but you almost always need boss on your last turn of the game. So there you go, another use. You can boss twice, sometimes Turoing twice. Like, just literally all of your 1-of supporters, being able to use them twice can be so good. And I always know if I have a Palpad in my deck, I can't be like deck out cheesed. I can always Palpad back my Turo and get out of any kind of
Fish?
choose. Oh, great. Amazing card.
Because you were very against Fish in old format.
I was. And the reason I was against Fish in the old format is because like my list from NAIC was just like 4 Iono, 2 Research, 3 Boss. But now we have Countercatcher, which means we're only playing 1 Boss. And sometimes it's like crucial on the last turn to have Boss. So with that shift in Gardevoir, I definitely think Lumineon's good.
Have you ever thought about going back up to 2 bosses?
Like, maybe. I think if I didn't play Lumineon, I would have to play 2 Boss.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely. Yeah.
And I think boss is just like so important to close out games. Like, I was playing against a Goldengho opponent, and I was playing around boss. She's like, yo, I don't play boss. And I was like, that's crazy. Because it just wins you the game on the spot there a lot of the times. So it's really interesting how the meta's evolved. And we're really at the point now, obviously we have Utrecht, we have Vancouver coming. But locally, we've been playing in events, and it almost seems that like the metagame's really shaped up. We've had people playing Miraidon to counter like Guardy. The biggest thing for me is, and I don't know if some other players, I would say like the mid-level players feel this out there, is like I think with a pretty like decent skill experience, I'm able to win a lot at the start of the format because I can pick up decks faster and see situations faster. But then towards the end of the format, it's much harder to win because everyone's been playing for so long. They've either been playing the same deck, they've played so many of the same matchup, you know, the Tina versus Zard, the Guardy versus Tina, the Zard versus Guardy, that the average player just becomes so much stronger at the end of the format because of all the games that have gone in. So do you think you should just be playing like one deck for like basically the whole? Because I mean, this guy was just goldfishing Kyogre hands, bought sleeves, goldfishing Kyogre hands before a challenge, and then sit down against him. I'm like, I'll go second because you're playing this, and then he flips over a route. So
Yo, it was the perfect bait. No, I was definitely considering playing that Kyogre deck.
Yeah.
I goldfished like 5 hands and just like lost all of them, and I was just like, okay, I'm not doing this.
Yeah.
But I think there's definitely value to sticking to your deck, and I also agree with what you're saying about like as the format goes on, people like know what's happening.
Yeah.
So I think like at the start of the format and like looking at like EUIC, I see a lot of value in like playing something kind of weird, like Entei Valiant at LAIC
was such a big
was like kind of a weird
It was such a
deck,
good
right?
call though, because
It was a great call.
Miraidon, because that was the
Gardy
irony,
was so popular, right?
So
like you saw Anil play his like 16 energy Miraidon deck, like these like weird decks,
and we've come back to that too.
And we have, but now it's like the full peony build.
Yeah.
But yeah, these weird decks tend to do very well at the start of formats. People don't know like what the deck's doing. Maybe they don't know, especially like how their deck matches up into it. But now I think we've reached the point where like everyone kind of knows what's happening. You flip over, you flip over an Entei and people are like, okay, Entei Valiant, like he's got this in his deck and he's gonna try and do this. So I think like you definitely lose that advantage, which would push me towards like at the end of a format just locking in one of the top, like, I don't know, top 7 decks even. There's so many
just play it out
play it out.
Or have 2 decks that you can kind of
switch between. 2 decks. I mean, yeah, like I have Mew and Gardy, and I don't really imagine I'm gonna
play Mew.
I'm not.
Watch him win Vancouver Regionals with Mew.
Yeah, maybe I'll show up with Mew. But it's pretty much going to be Mew or Gardy, right? So, like, if I really hate Gardy for Vancouver, then it's probably going to be Mew.
Well, it'll be the last time you get to play Mew.
Well, it might, yeah.
So, now that you've played in a European Regional going into Utrecht, what would you play having played in that meta? I know they also love Gardy, so there's still going to be a lot of Gardy.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of Gardy.
Zard really came down.
Yeah, Zard came down. Also, I feel like they actually like Lost Box decks out there a lot. I think CPAL will probably see a spike. I mean, I played in the Game Grid online free Win-A-Box tournament the other Friday, and I saw a bunch of Goldengho. Like, it was like the 5th most popular deck. So I would definitely expect like an increase in Goldengho.
Definitely know your matchup against Goldengho, because like Charizard has a very time knocking out both Goldengho and Palkia. Are both very hard for Charizard to knock out.
Yeah. So I mean, this might sound kind of weird coming from me, but I might actually recommend Miraidon for the Utrecht Special Event. I mean, you're good into Gardy, you're good into Lost Box decks, you're solid, and like Charizard's going down. And so that could definitely be a potential play. Otherwise, I think like Gardy could be a good play, but I would never recommend like switching to Gardy for the first time.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Yeah,
I've just refused, and we're at the point now that it's like I think Charizard's strong enough that you can like play a mirror against someone and then find a way to win. Versus Gardy, that the person that's just put so much more time in the Gardy deck's gonna win.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Game Grid tournament. You said you played in that, so Game Grid, great friend of the podcast. They're running free tournaments. The first person got a box.
Yeah,
I do know.
Box, yeah.
Second person got an ETB, and an ETB was won by a Canadian.
Yeah, it was Evan, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So
that's cool.
What's going on with that tournament? What's Game Grid trying to do and stuff?
Yeah. So that was the first tournament. Something cool from the tournament is that in top 8 there was 8 unique decks. I thought that was really cool. It kind of shows that there's a bunch of good options. We're coming to the end of the format, but any deck can still do well. There was a Fusion Mew deck. I think Andrew Gantner, I believe, played it, and it had a 1/1 Acelgor line, and I thought that was kind of cool, and made me kind of think like maybe Fusion Mew is kind of the way to go now. Like, we're seeing a lot of Tomb in Tina decks. We saw Arnie make top 8 in Dortmund with Fusion Mew, and now there's another Fusion Mew deck showing up. I mean, this was a 300 player event, so I definitely put a lot of stock into what's happening. Otherwise, like, the meta was pretty much what you would expect. Like, Gardy and Tina were the top 2 decks by a good margin, taking up like 14% meta share each. And then like Zard and CPAL were up next, and then Moon and Goldengho were a little step behind that. So
yeah, I feel like Moon's slowly falling off because people are finding out about it.
Yeah,
and I think Charizard's kind of flipped the matchup.
Yeah, and like Charizard is like it's in a weird spot. Like for several events, I think Charizard has been like pretty poorly positioned. Like Miraidon's been pretty unpopular. Gardy and Tina keep going up. So, but then again, people just will keep playing Charizard. People love Charizard.
Card's so good.
Yeah.
It's the easiest deck to set up.
Yeah. And especially like if I'm trying to recommend Miraidon, it's so hard because there probably still will be like 14% Charizard just because people love it.
Come
right?
through.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny because we were at that cup. I was gonna play Charizard Pidgeot, and then the Indonesia. I love Asia.
Yeah.
You know I love Asia.
Yeah,
so
you like looking at their stats.
Their second place deck had the Bibarel, and I switched to it. And then we had Peoria regional champion Raymond Long looking at what everyone was playing. And then I get paired against Raymond round 1. And he's like, "Oh no, Miraidon." And then we both flipped over Charmander, and I was like, "Come on, guys!"
Yeah, this guy's.
I was able to beat him, so it was pretty good. Actually, Bibarel has come in very clutch, and I think with new format coming up, with that being like getting a hero node, getting Roxanne just doesn't matter.
Yeah, Bib. I mean, also you don't have a 2-prize liability on your board, which is pretty important.
One of the coolest things that I've found from playing it, and that's why I just want to make the deck work so much, is because I can't play Gardevoir. There's so many times in the game where you're able to collapse off your like 2-prizers and then just use like a Charmeleon or a Radianzard to take a knockout. But then you have like a Charmander and a Charmeleon on the board.
So you can like
when
evolve.
they take, and then you just evolve and like win the game. So I really want to make it work. It's tough. It's also good to get like some practice, and I know soon you'll be getting practice and for new format in there. And I think we're going to take the next few weeks to kind of figure out what's going to be the play for Vancouver. But there is a huge balance now. Like, do you think it's better to be preparing for EUIC versus over preparing for Vancouver?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's also really not much to prepare for, in my opinion. Like, we've been playing this format for months. Like, I'm pretty well versed on it. I'm like almost definitely just playing Gardevoir.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I'm definitely dedicating more time to
And
the new
there's
format.
from EUIC to Vancouver to NAIC, there's gonna be another new set.
Yeah.
So this format's actually be very short.
Yeah.
This coming format.
Yeah, it's cause why was it like that? Like, I feel like we've been playing this format since like November.
I don't know.
I don't know.
The other thing I don't know is I don't know how RK9 works because I missed EUIC registration.
I know, man. They gotta start increasing these
I feel
numbers.
like I'm like one of only like 10 people. I know it's more than 10 people. It just feels like it's a thing. But I really, really hope that they increase because I think the Excel Center has so much space.
Yeah.
Right. This is not the Japanese. This is not the Yokohama.
No, there's tons of
Convention
halls.
Center.
You know, they can open up more halls, and it's like
I think we just want to get more people playing Pokemon, and like internationals are so good because you get to meet so many people, especially from you playing in Europe. So I mean, with that being said, we've got Vancouver coming. We have Utrecht happening. I think there's an Latin American regional happening as well.
I think that's like next weekend, maybe. Yeah.
So we'll have more stuff to talk about. Thank you guys for coming back to the podcast. We're happy to be back after a short hiatus. And I hope that we're ready to get to the end of this format because it's gonna come quick because it's going to be Vancouver, EUIC, Orlando, Indianapolis, LA, and then NAIC.
Yep.
So,
Hey, whoa, don't forget about Sweden and Chile regionals.
Are you going to Sweden?
I think I'm going to Sweden. Yeah, I think I am. And Chile.
I think we're going to Chile. So, hola. To our friends in Latin America, and we're very excited to come back play in that region. When's Sweden?
You know what? I don't know. I think it's in May. There's
4 events.
It's like 4 events in a row. It's like I don't know. It's definitely LA, Chile, Sweden, and Indy.
No. Indy's first, and then it's there's a week off, and then it's Chile. So
yeah, I don't know. I gotta book it all. But
this guy's ready to have a lot more donaire.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that'd be insane.
All right.
I'll definitely be back in Europe.